Aloha, beloveds. Om Swastiastu from Bali. Yeah, feeling really emotional right now. And yeah, this is usually more of a sad time of the year for me and our family at NaiAsa Institute. But this year it feels intensified, and I was really struggling. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm struggling with this, then I'm probably not the only one. And there was an opening for me after a lot of struggle that brought some light into my heart, that opened my heart in a way that felt like medicine that I was needing and that I'm needing. And it occurred to me that perhaps this can be medicine for anyone out there who has been experiencing or is experiencing something similar. So, Thanksgiving. This is a big, far from holy day in the United States. And just a little context, I grew up celebrating Thanksgiving in a very American kind of way. The turkey, potatoes, gravy, and then watching football and people drinking a lot of beer. And yeah, that's just what Thanksgiving was. And yes, we would pray and give thanks to the things that we felt most grateful for in our lives. And yes, it's always wonderful to come together, with family, with loved ones. But it never sat well with me. Even as a little girl, I didn't quite understand the sentiment of the day. Didn't quite understand, and still don't quite understand a lot of it. But I'm more in touch with the real history now than I ever was. And so it's actually become a national day of mourning. I don't know if any of you have seen that, with thousands of Native Americans taking a pilgrimage up to Plymouth, Massachusetts, to commemorate and to raise awareness about the massacres that are the foundation of Thanksgiving. All the Native Americans who endured so much pain and suffering and loss. And so this is the struggle here. And it's interesting seeing these more than ever, I feel like, this year and last year, thanks to all the disruption in the world. There are these splits of consciousness. Consciousness is literally splitting, where it's like in the same country it's the most painful day, and at the same time the citizens of the same country are celebrating something that someone else is grieving. And so it's very interesting split. And not going to go into the truth about Thanksgiving. If you're watching this, you can look it up yourself. There's a lot. But also, probably if you're watching, you do have some idea of how this day came to be. And the other reason it's a sad time of year for us as a family is because one of our values, one of my personal values, and one of our values as a family, and one of our values at principles at NaiAsa Institute is Ahimsa, is making choices in life that minimize harm, that don't harm other people and other creatures and our beautiful planet. And so we also call this, it's a Holocaust Day, not only of the indigenous people of the past, but of all of our feathered turkey friends out there who get slaughtered this time of year in mass. And so I just feel that. I just feel that. And this morning I was getting all these messages, happy Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. And then in my inbox, anyone else, get ready for Black Friday, you know. It's like going from, you know, the just feeling into the grief of what really that entails Thanksgiving, and then the spark and the invitation, the mass movement toward consumerism, more consumerism. Okay, now it's time to go shopping in the most unconscious ways possible. And usually every year we've been on that, you know, in business. You gotta be ready to sell your products, you know, for Cyber Monday and for Black Friday. And we've actually done that over the years. And this is the first year I looked at Nova and I said, I don't want to sell anything. I don't want to participate in that as a business. In that way, I want to just take some time to be with this grief and to explore how best to transmute it and to have it like it's this grief and this anger is fuel for what? So this morning I went into rage and I went into judgments and shame and really heavy judgment. Like I get triggered. I get triggered when these big influencers in the world, many of them, people that we love and we know that are close to us, who are activists for social change, and then, you know, and then they're just playing out the narrative that has been cycling day in, year out, that is perpetuating the same state of disharmony that continues today. It's gotta stop. And so I get triggered because it's like, can't you see that this is perpetuating the dis-ease, and you know, I felt even a little bit angry, you know, even toward my own family members, like, how could you let me grow up believing that this day was a day to really be in celebration? And finally, all of that rage and that anger broke into tears, and that's the natural cycle of emotions. And in my tears, I heard the voice, Spirit, just whispering in my ear, I'm sorry. And as soon as I heard the voice, I'm sorry, it occurred to me that and the irony is that I've been inside of our coaching programs and inside of a lot of our work, one of the things that we bring in a big way is the work of forgiveness, the practice of forgiveness, the ritual of forgiveness, Hooponopono, and not just any kind of forgiveness, but radical forgiveness. And I just suddenly felt this lift of my energy, realizing, okay, there's not much I can do about the world out there. But for me individually and personally, it was a breakthrough that now moving forward, because I was like, what do I call it? What do I do this day? Because every year this day is going to come, and I can choose to either continue to get more and more contracted and more triggered and more angry around it every year, or I can choose to, okay, how can I create a more powerful context so that I can feel some peace, so that I can feel my highest vibration on the planet, so that I can be the most fully, authentically, healthily available to myself and to people around me. And so moving forward, this for me is going to be Happy Hooponopono Day. Happy Hooponopono Day. And I invite you to take it on if it inspires you. And so Hooponopono, for those who are not familiar, is it's a practice that originates from Hawaii. There's the deep traditional Hooponopono is a very elaborate process that goes very deep. But at the highest level, it's a practice of forgiveness, and it's been kind of watered down and simplified into these 4 statements. And even though it's simplified, it's still powerful, because not all of us have the ability to go and immerse into a year-long study to really practice this in the most deep, authentic way. We can still bring the authenticity of the intention behind it. And so it begins with an apology. It begins with saying, I am sorry. And then we request, we give that, we take responsibility. It's an act of taking responsibility. And then it's also an act of requesting forgiveness. Will you please forgive me for whatever this thing is that I am taking responsibility for? And then the 3rd step is given either way, whether they give forgiveness or not, it's thank you. It's thank you. Number 3 is saying thank you so much. Number 4 is I love you. I love you. And we actually practice this as a family. It's been really, really powerful, especially with Sakai. And so we just practice it as a family, and it just dawned on me that, wow, I find it easy to get pissed off about these things around Thanksgiving, but how often in the past have I taken time on this day to just take ownership and responsibility for that part of me? I have European pilgrimage blood running through my veins. My ancestors on that side, came 4 or 5 generations ago. And, I have to take responsibility for that, that lives within me. And then in the other side of me was kind of the side of me, and I have a lineage that was much like many indigenous people all over the world. On my mother's side, sovereignty, land, culture was stolen, from my mother's family. And so I feel the two, and I hold the two within me. I am a product of these 2 realities, these 2 histories. And so today, I want to say sorry. To every Native American on US soil, and to every indigenous person in any part of the world. My beloved Hawaiians, the indigenous Hawaiian people, they're going through this right now. It's even more recent. And I just want to say I'm so sorry. I am so sorry for what my forefathers did to your ancestors and the trauma that you now have to grapple with and struggle with to find a way to thrive in this world. And I know you can, and I just want you to know that there are people out there like me who are so thankful for you and who are praying for you. And in fact, I have a prayer here right now I'd like to read out loud. It's a Native American prayer. And I want to give thanks on this day to the indigenous, to those people who have and continue to hold the prayers and the wisdom and the knowledge and the rituals of the indigenous way, of the way of living harmonious with nature. I am so grateful, so grateful, because these ways are the key to a future with a brighter sense of harmony for humanity. Truly. I also want to say that if you are indigenous and you carry strong in your heritage and your lineage this generational trauma, you to find it in your heart to forgive me and to forgive those who came before me. I truly believe they didn't know. They weren't consciously doing this. I truly believe that what's happening, so much of the violence and so much of the disempowerment and so much of these, the power, greed, hungry, kinds of decisions and mandates happening right now are not happening out of consciousness. Out of an old unconscious program that's running. And all we can do is take responsibility for ourselves. And on this day, I'd like to give thanks with this prayer. It's called literally a prayer of thanksgiving, and it's rooted in the Iroquois Native American lineage. We give thanks to our mother, the earth which sustains us. We give thanks to the rivers and the streams which supply us with water. We give thanks to all herbs which furnish medicines for the cure of our diseases. We return thanks to the moon and the stars which have given us light when the sun was gone. We return thanks to the sun that has looked upon the earth with a beneficent eye. And lastly, we return thanks to the Great Spirit, in whom is embodied all goodness, who directs all things for the good of her children. Yeah, I want to give thanks to that feminine principle of creation. I want to give thanks to that universal mother consciousness that knows how to love all her children no matter what, who knows how to hold them close and nurture the wounds and nurture the spaces. Let us bring hold a vision of ushering more of that consciousness into the planet. Let us have these spaces turn more and more into healing sanctuaries of forgiveness. Let this be a day of forgiveness. Forgiving ourselves, forgiving each other. A day of unconditional love and gratitude. Indeed, it is. It truly, truly is. I was struggling to feel it until this came through. So I hope and trust that this landed as medicine for some of you and created an opening where perhaps there was none. And perhaps for some of you it created an opening of consciousness, opening an invitation of awareness to look deeper into some of this stuff. Perhaps for some of you it's created some tenderness. Yeah, maybe you're feeling into that now that I've named it. Whatever it is, may it be. May you run with the medicine of it. May you run with the light of it. And thank you for tuning in. Happy Hooponopono Day. Would love to hear from you in the comments and connect with you soon.